Everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got quite a few games here today that I would like to talk about, as is the case with the last episode. If you haven't seen it already, a little title card will be popping up with a link to that video. So with the recent game pickup video, remember, disclaimer here, all the prices you see are the total prices including shipping, handling, and taxes, and all are in US dollars because that's the money that I use. Alright, without further ado, let's get into the first game.
I have so far to go.
I know I'm not the only one who got this as their first PlayStation 2 game. Yeah, I remember getting my PlayStation 2 for Christmas for my brother-in-law and sister. Oh man, memories. They gifted us this game as well with it, and Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies. One of my favorite games on the PlayStation 2. I love the Ace Combat series, but it all started with Ace Combat 4 for me. Like, I just started playing it again recently, and it's like, man, can you believe this came out like 20 years ago? It's unbelievably ridiculous. Paid around $7.41 for this. Gameplay still holds up to this day. Granted, there are better releases after this one that we'll get into the future, as I gotta get some of those, and some of those I already have, but we'll save those for future episodes. But yeah, Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies. Let me know in the comment section below if this was your first PlayStation 2 game, because it was mine. Next up, we have a very interesting game. Unfortunately, the game did not come with the manual, but that is Cold Fear for the original Xbox. Paid $16.94 for this. I had this one originally, but I never had the actual case for it. Lo and behold, when I bought this one on eBay, the case was a little damaged. At least it came with the cover art, but no manual. And that drives me insane. Sometimes you don't need the manual, alright? Me, it's more of a personal thing. I like to have my games complete nowadays. But you're going to see a drastic price difference with certain games, especially like on the GameCube and PlayStation 2. Incomplete without the manual versus complete with the manual. And you'll see future examples in future episodes. But anyways, Cold Fear. I'm getting off tangent here. Cold Fear on the original Xbox. This game came out around the time that Resident Evil 4 came out on the GameCube. It got pretty decent to mediocre review scores. Reviewers thought that this was trying to rip off Resident Evil 4. You know, it wasn't. You know, it has similar mechanics and a similar perspective, but this game turns it on its head. It's kind of a weird mix with like these fixed camera angles and then an over-the-shoulder view. It depends on where you are on this ship that keeps rocking back and forth during this storm. Like, if you get motion sickness easily, especially with video games, this game's going to drive you insane and probably to the point of you're going to hurl. Because it even gets me dizzy sometimes with all the water splashing on the screen and all that good stuff. It's a very weird concept, but it actually works in tandem with the gameplay mechanic of this game. You kind of have to aim, and you're like fighting with the aiming because the ship is rocking back and forth, and it kind of adds to the tension. So I could definitely see what they were going with for this title. But it's not the best game I've ever played, but it's a survival horror game, so of course I had to get it. Cold Fear on the original Xbox, and it was also released on the PlayStation 2. Definitely suggest you guys check this out if you can, and make your own opinion, because I don't think this game got a fair shake when it originally came out. Next game, once again, a nostalgic trip for any of those of you who grew up with the PlayStation 2.
Hey, come on over, have some fun with Crazy Taxi!
I paid $9.01 for this game. And one thing I do love about buying used games, especially for the PlayStation 2, is when they have some of that leftover brand new sticker there on top. You can see it's there, it's still there, some of it is still there at least. And I don't know, just, it shivers me timbers. But anyways, yeah, complete, as you can see, it's the greatest hits version. Now, grew up with this one, obviously. Played it on the Dreamcast originally at my cousin's place, and my sister and I loved it. So since we got the PlayStation 2 as an early Christmas gift, we had to choose a game. I picked SmackDown Just Bring It, and she picked Crazy Taxi. Eventually, my sister grew out of the game. Obviously, she was more interested in other things in her life. And I powered on with video games. But it got to the point where she wasn't really playing games anymore. And confession time. I sold her game to GameStop. I traded it in and I feel like an ass because of it. I always felt bad about that. She never noticed. She never cared to notice. But I guarantee you if I told her now, she would be like, you jerk off. And I feel really bad about it. But it's Crazy Taxi, so of course I have to get it again. And this is the greatest hits version. So she'd be none the wiser, unless she saw this video. Love to get her on the channel sometime. But anyways, yes, Crazy Taxi on the PlayStation 2. An absolute classic, okay? You had to have played Crazy Taxi at some point in your life. Whether it was on the arcades, whether it was on the Dreamcast, the PlayStation 2, whatever console it was ported to, the HD version that has the GIMP soundtrack. Crazy Taxi is an absolute classic. And if you haven't played it yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Next up, we have a game regarding the series that holds a huge place in my heart, Godzilla Unleashed for the PlayStation 2. Developed by Pipeworks and Atari. These Godzilla games back in the days were the bomb, man. I mean, Destroy All Monsters, Melee, Save the Earth, Unleashed. Unfortunately, I never owned the PlayStation 2 version. I did a review back in the days. My first ever video game review, actually, was for Godzilla Unleashed on the Nintendo Wii. Now, that video is still up on YouTube on my main channel. So, if you are interested in seeing that catastrophe of a review, but that's besides the point. I paid $31.80 for the PS2 version. This one is complete. This is in good shape. And like I said, I never played the PlayStation 2 version because I always saw it as a GIMP version of the Wii version. I always saw it as a GIMP port. And it was actually not really a port of the Wii version. It was just kind of like a reskin of Save the Earth, and yeah, it was pretty unfortunate. The frame rate on this is absolutely terrible. Like, I'll get into it eventually because I want to do a video series on all the Atari and Pipeworks Godzilla games. If you guys are interested in seeing something like that, let me know in the comment section below. Yeah, I'll do that. But this it didn't age well, unfortunately. This was one of their last ones. And the PlayStation 2 version just, oh man, you can see the PS2 was struggling for this. I played on my PS3 now. I played on my backwards compatible PS3, and it seems to run a little bit better on there, but at the same time, this game was not optimized well. And that's very unfortunate because these Godzilla games now are going up in price. If you haven't picked up them yet, you might want to get on that now, alright? Next up, we have a bit of a holy grail here. I paid $16.86 total for Ridge Racer Revolution on the PlayStation 1. This one's obviously complete with its beautiful looking disc. I mean, look at this. This was back when the ESRB was kids to adults instead of E10 for everyone. Yeah, this is an absolute classic. It's basically like an expanded version of the original Ridge Racer that I do have. I used to play this on that demo disc ad nausea. But anyways, I never actually owned a copy of the game. And it's interesting because we always looked for it around Blockbuster, we checked Hollywood Video, we checked any video game. You know, well, there weren't any like dedicated video game stores back then really. There were more just like electronic stores that sold deep, movies and games. And I could never find this one. We could never find it, unfortunately, my father and I. So I never actually owned it until recently. And the gameplay, it's classic Ridge Racer, but it honestly hasn't aged that well compared to some of the more recent entries in the series. But I really do enjoy it for what it is. It's a classic. I had to own it, a physical copy of it at least, and well, I have it. So I can cross that off the bucket list, right? Next up, we have an arrival from Canada. This one I've been waiting on. This one has like 20 stamps on it. Like, is this all really necessary? Note that if you're buying a game, this kind of wrapping is unacceptable. This is terrible. The game can get crushed. The cases can get crushed. The disc can get damaged. The cover art can get damaged because of the case getting crushed. It's ridiculous. Ship your things better next time. So I paid $9.20 Canadian for this one, which equals out to what you see on the screen right now. I think it was what, $8.03? Turning Point: Fall of Liberty. This is another game developed by Spark, and it's Spark were the same people that developed the legendary game that I showed in the last video. This game got ripped to shreds by reviewers and critics alike. Like, god damn, this game was lambasted for being horrible and so many things. I wanted to get it because of the glitches, and I'm just very interested in seeing how bad this is. The concept behind it, though, is pretty freaking cool. I mean, just imagine what would happen if Nazi Germany won World War II and invaded like New York and America. That's a scary thought, but that's the concept behind the game. That's why it's called Turning Point. It's the fall of liberty. Lady Liberty falls in this game. So yeah, it's a very look. It's the Statue of Liberty's right there in the rubble. You get what they're going here? I get it. I'm all for this. I want to try this game. I want to see how bad it is. I want to experience the glitches. I don't care. At this point in my life, moving forward, I don't care what the reviewer said about a certain game. If I have a certain little interest in a game, just a little spark, pun intended, for a game that a little bit of interest, no matter how bad it is, I'm gonna freaking get it. And the good thing about bad games is that usually you can get them for pretty cheap these days. Like I said, I only paid $8.03 for this American. So yeah, I've only remember playing the demo for it and not being impressed back in the days. So yeah, this is gonna be a very interesting romp. And last but not least for today's episode, we have on the original Xbox, Spy Hunter: Nowhere to Run. I paid $6.35 total for this one. And interesting fact about this listing, the seller messaged me afterwards. He said in the description too, and I was fully aware that this game disc did not work, or so he thought, because apparently this game works just fine on my original Xbox. And the reason why I bought it, even though it said it was not working, was because I already owned the disc for this game. I just wanted the case and the cover art and the manual because I can't find any good files to reprint one. And lo and behold, I ended up getting the working game as well. So now I have an extra copy of Spy Hunter: Nowhere to Run on the original Xbox. Now the cool thing about this one is that even though it was probably the last one released on major consoles back in the days for Spy Hunter, this one has, obviously, as you can see, The Rock on it, alright? Because this was when The Rock was just getting into Hollywood. He was signing those deals. He was starting to make those extra paychecks, aside from the wrestling at the time. This was, you know, when he was still The Rock. And, you know, Dwayne Johnson now, you know, this guy is the best, highest paid actor, apparently, in Hollywood now. And, you know, more power to him. I love The Rock. And the thing that sells me on this game is that you can give everybody the rock bottom. I kid you not. Look at this gameplay. Rock bottom for you. Rock bottom for you. So yeah, Spy Hunter: Nowhere to Run on the original Xbox. So the grand total for today's pickups were $96.40. Honestly speaking, that's not too bad. I kept it under $100 today, thankfully. But a lot of these games, you know, they're pretty cheap, all things considered, if you saw their individual prices. With, you know, some of them being a little overpriced, especially, you know, the Godzilla game. So thanks for tuning in, guys and gals. I really do appreciate you all tuning in to these recent game pickups. Like I said before in the last video, if you like videos like this and you want to see more recent game pickups, hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section below if you played any of these games growing up. And if you did, which one's your favorite? Did you have good memories with them, or did you have bad memories with them? I don't care. Let me know in the comment section below. Good or bad, I want to know about it. Alright? Remember, subscribe as well if you haven't already. And Scorpio Cesar signing out. Collect everything, connect everything, and if you can, at least try your best. Alright, everyone. I'll see you all soon.